Well, you
Yeah.
haven't changed a bit. You look exactly like how
Oh,
you did in
thank
high
you.
school. No, seriously. And we are now what? How many years removed from that experience? Oh,
We will
wow.
be what this year? We'll be
What?
double
It's,
fives this year.
I know we are double nickels.
Can you with the double Nick team?
Welcome back to Monique and Friends, Our Stories Unscripted. I'm Monique Hayward, and this is the podcast where I sit down with the incredible people who have shaped my journey, friends, colleagues, mentors, and more, to share real, unfiltered conversations about life, careers, resilience, and everything in between. One of the things I love most about this podcast is the chance to reconnect with the people who have been part of my story. And today's guest is one of my absolute favorite people. My best friend from high school, Bridgette Rumph. Bridgette and I met as freshmen at Richland Northeast High School in Columbia, South Carolina. Go Cavaliers! We clicked the moment we met, and we're always there for each other through our school adventures. Today, we're going to talk about those formative high school years, how our paths have evolved, and the lessons we have learned along the way. And of course, we'll wrap things up with AMA, Ask Monique Anything, where I answer your questions about life and careers. If you have something on your mind, send it in. I'd love to hear from you. So get comfortable, settle in, and let's dive into this conversation with my high school bestie, Bridgette Rumph. Hello there, Bridgette Rumph.
Hello.
How are you, darling?
I'm doing very good. How about you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for asking.
You're
I
welcome.
am so happy to see you. You have no idea. I'm almost on the verge of tears because we remembered in a conversation that we had in preparation for our episode today that we haven't had a chance to talk to each other in about 10 years.
10
And
years.
that amazes me because we used to talk all the time.
Every day, all day when we were in high school.
Yes.
Let's go somewhere. Yeah. So it's crazy that that time lag was 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. So,
I'm equally happy to be talking to you and be reconnected.
yes, definitely. And then you promise me that another 10 years is not going to pass, right? Like we're going to get back
No,
into a regular flow, get back into a regular rhythm like besties should be doing.
right on. We will not. There's no way we can let 10 years pass.
Yeah,
No way.
exactly. I know,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's just crazy. So tell me what's happening. Tell me about your life in the last 10 years. What you been up to?
Well, the last 10 years have been a different kind of life. Probably about the last 12 plus years have been a little bit different. And I think sometimes we find gratification in ways we have to make more choices about instead of it being a job you have to go to and you're doing really well. My last job I was a nonprofit executive for the cooperative ministry. I had gotten like the dream job. And so during that time frame, I got diagnosed with breast cancer. So I had to go through chemotherapy and radiation and physical therapy to just stand up straight and became, where I have a permanent disability around some neurological damage. So now you have to kind of find satisfaction outside of, the workplace. And so, in the relationships you build when you're working and you're out all the time. So my life is very different, but it's been satisfying. I have great friends around here. My family's still very amazing. I have some relationships that I built with some younger people that they're like my children. The most recent church we helped with was Elevation out of Charlotte. So they planted a location in Columbia. So I got to be a part of the team, the launch team that helped plant that church in Columbia. And one of the good side effects is I've made these amazing relationships. So I got those folks, and we do things together, celebrate each other's birthdays. When things are tough, when things are good, we're there for each other. So life's been good. I did recently submit an article to a Christian devotional effort that they had. They didn't print, but just getting to even do that piece and send it in took me forever. But to send it in, just trying to have interesting things to do and keep moving.
Yeah. One thing that I've always admired about you ever since we were kids is we met in the ninth grade at Richland
Yes,
Northeast High School.
yes,
And we were fast friends, as I recall. And
yes,
because I actually uh, I moved from across town, and I didn't go to middle school with everybody because I came from a
yeah,
different school district. And so my ninth grade year was like starting over for real because I didn't know
yes.
anybody in our high school. And you were one of the first people I met, and you kind of
Oh,
took me under your wing. I was always so grateful for that. And
oh,
it also showed me how you're talking like right now about how you always have three things that are important to you: friends, family, and service. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was how have those three things really been instrumental in helping you stay grounded through some of the difficulties and some of the challenges that you had described that have been, part of your life now for the last, several years that we haven't been in touch.
well, first of all, thank you. And your mom deciding that y'all needed to be on this side of town was like one of the best things for me. So I'm so glad that you came to Northeast. You were like a shining star from the first day we met.
Oh,
And
you're too
we'll,
kind.
oh, it's the truth. And I guess we'll talk about our plight through Spanish for all those years. But
Right?
I think the thing for me, first of all, is my parents being rooted and grounded and rededicating themselves to faith when I was probably 7. And just having good parents that loved you, no matter good, bad, and different, they always created a stable environment where you were loved immensely. Not only you, anybody you were connected to. So, and just seeing them be people of service and loving on folks, not letting anyone have lack. We might not have had a ton, but if there was somebody with less than we had or that had a need, they always would let us volunteer them, or somebody's coming to dinner, or we need to help so and so get a jacket. So I've seen that my whole life, and just having them consistently there. For me, one of my love languages is quality time. And so just having that built up from having some good parents and my siblings, and God allowing me to meet people like you along my walk who have become family. So when you go through adversity, you have good solid advice, good solid support, a good solid direction. And I think that helped me so much throughout, knowing that no matter what socioeconomic level we're at or where we're at in life, there is always a call and a necessity to be there for other people in some way. And so for me, going through all of the things I had to deal with, I always look back on just that base and family, friends, and understanding that we got to be there for each other. And then when I went through everything with going through the chemo and the radiation, and even having a car accident, and seeing that the 60 days I was in the hospital for the car accident from a lady texting and driving, hitting me head on, really bad wreck, totally have amnesia from leaving the house till I was in the hospital. I'm like, I'm the patient. I said, I'm the patient in the hospital. I got on the gown. And so seeing that people, my dad and sister and stepmom were coming every single day. Somebody from Elevation Church, who are my friends and family too, and just all of my friends and family around town. Every day there was someone at that hospital.
Right. And you're
Every
lucky
day.
to be alive, Bridgette.
Yeah, 199% less to be walking around. So it's just having folks in your life. My brother Daryl was like a twin to me, right?
Yes, he
And
was.
that was my boy, and I lost him a few years ago. And I remember him calling me and saying, Bridgette, I always said other people were my hero. He said, but you're my hero. He said, you're my best friend. And he said, I don't know how you got through all of this stuff. That man, I got y'all. And I said, having good people in your corner, you're not doing it alone. So that helped my faith in God, having those folks and love around you, it helped me get through that stuff. So I didn't do it by myself.
And that's a great way to look at it. When you are surrounded by people who are in your corner and who have your best interest at heart,
Mm-hmm.
we can get through a lot when we know that we've got that support. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I really admire about what you've been able to accomplish through all of this is that even though you have now a disability that prevents you from doing a lot of the physical things that you were able to do, before all of this happened, you didn't disappear into the disability, but rather you figured out a way to continue to let your light shine and help other people and share your story with them so that they can learn from how you are showing up every day and not being down and not being depressed and not thinking that it's a pitiful kind of thing that you're experiencing, right? No, this is a way to reorient. It's a way to recharge, refocus, re-energize around the things that you're able to do as opposed to the things that you're not able to do.
Oh, Monique, that's good. I like that term you use, disappearing into your disability. That's a whole book right there.
Oh, okay.
But
Well, let's write it.
that's right. Let's do it. But
Let's do
it's
that.
like, thank you for that encouragement and that observation, and I appreciate it. It's uplifting, and so we could sit, and it will be easy to sit and look at all of the things I can't do. One day I went outside, to get a little air. My girlfriend said, "Let's go for a run." I was at her house, and I said, "Oh, I can't run anymore." She said, "Oh yeah, you can. Just try." I said, "No, no, I physically cannot run." And she was like, "What?" And so, it's not like you said about the things I can't do. Like, there are a lot of things that I can't do that are small things, like just going outside and walking for a mile or two. I can't do that without stopping, sitting down, and not go get to a mile or two. But you do the things you can, like maybe take a little walk and sit on a bench for a few minutes, and then get up and take a couple of little more steps. But it's just about making the most of what you got, because
Right,
some
and making
things will
that
go away.
progress, right? Yeah, I
Making
mean, you don't
progress.
have to, don't bite off more than you can chew, as they say, right? If,
Right, right.
yeah, a mile or two is too much, but, a block or two is enough.
Yeah, and my block or two looks like, what's she doing? Why she keep stopping? When she's sitting there, she's sitting over, and it's just like making the best and enjoying what we have available to us. So yeah, you said a whole lot with that. So it's not about the can'ts; it's about what do I do with the things that I can, and knowing that I have folks available still who are there to help me with things around in my community. If I need anything, I have a friend he knows. Like if I go grocery shopping and we're on the phone, he said, "Leave your stuff in the car. I'll come get it and bring it all in the house."
Nice.
Or stuff like
Please,
that.
does he travel? I could use some
Yeah,
help.
yeah. Listen, you mess with him and he'll show up in your city and be like, "Tell Monique we're here." In your new normal, still having a level of joy, not just happiness for the day, but a level of joy that supersedes anything you endure. And so that's
Right.
really important.
That is very important.
Yeah.
And I encourage people, especially the generations that are coming behind us, the younger millennials and Gen Z, to think about how you step into your greatness. Regardless of what the circumstances are right now, you are exactly where you need to be.
Right
And I
on.
find that a lot of people are not finding the joy in the moment. There's a lot that's going on. I mean, we won't even get into all of the
Mm-mm.
political craziness, the things that divide us as a country. Uh, but there are things that people can focus on that will help them with formulating a worldview that is more hopeful and optimistic than
Yeah.
down and depressed. And
Right
that's one of
on.
the things I try to do with my mentees. And tell me a little bit more about how you're coaching and advising this next generation of folks coming behind us.
Yeah, so as you know, I've been, a person of faith. Probably I was 8 years old, and so one of the spaces is just about building yourself in your faith, right?
Hmm.
And building yourself in a group of ideologies and um, guidances that will help you to just be a better person and live a better life. and not just be. There's a thing in the Christian faith we call, after somebody gives their life over to the Lord, it's called really discipleship, where you don't throw somebody. It's like giving somebody a new job, and you're like, okay, we're gonna make you the director of la di da, and these are the things you got to do, so you go do them. No, you got to train them a little bit. So it's about those guidances in these are some good practices like reading and making sure you're serving and giving and helping. And so that's one area. And then there are times when there are very different experiences around you as an adult. So you got your parents and your family and your community, and then I enter in as another community member. And it's about the areas that maybe I'm decent at that I see a lack, and we discuss, or they come to me with questions about, Bridgette, what do you think about this, and this? And we just discuss through my experience, and age brings a little wisdom. And
It
so
sure does.
just though, and then just being there for just everyday normal things that may occur that are confusing or difficult, or maybe just spending time going to the beach or come over for dinner. So it's just really having a presence, just the gift of presence in people's lives. And so that's been cool. And they do a lot for me. They bring different perspectives. They bring wisdom of things that I'll call and be like, let me ask you how you do this and this and this, because in my day, this wasn't something we did. How do you do these things? And them being willing and supportive. And when something goes down, you get some flowers at the door, a card, a phone call. So those relationships are super important. And they all call me their other mom and allow me to call them my kids. So that's nice,
Yeah,
because I don't
that
have
sounds
any
fantastic.
biologicals. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have any biological kids either, and I can totally relate to that because
right on.
I have a lot of proteges who've come behind me as well over the years,
Yes,
folks who've either worked for me directly or people who've just been part of my networking circles, part of my mentoring circles, and it's wholly gratifying for people to progress in their lives and in their careers and uh, come back and have that conversation, right, with you or with me, and say, hey, a conversation that we had at this point in time about where I was in my career or where I was in my life, you said something to me, or you made me do something, or you made me think about something in a different way that stuck with me, and
yes.
it made the difference. And that, I tell you, is one of that's what I live for. I live for that. I
Mm.
live for that story that I can tell about, someone who was able to be a little bit better in this world because I was able to help, you know, get them through something that they were dealing with.
And they have a good leadership, big time. So I know you have been super impactful. I know what you've done in the lives of your friends. So I'm talking about proteges and colleagues. I know it's a whole nother level because you are really honestly quite brilliant. So I know that there's been big impact. It's the truth. It's the truth.
Oh boy, please, Bridgette, stop. My head might explode.
Let it. It's okay because it's the truth. It's the absolute truth. One of the other areas that I get the privilege of having gone through that walk with cancer is I will get people refer people to me just to have a conversation on the phone, or if they want to come by and see me, if they're hospitalized and I can make it to see them, I'll go, because a lot of times when people are newly diagnosed with cancer, they're really scared,
Oh, yes,
right?
they are.
And I think the first thing I wanted to see or know, just in a quiet prayer, I said, God, let me meet somebody that's gone through what I've been through, and they're doing well, they're thriving, and they're living a normal life. And one of my young lady who was working with us at the time, she was a former news reporter, so she was doing some work for the ministry to help bring some visibility to us. And Kara said, I got a lady who we've become friends, and I did a story on her about breast cancer. And she said, Bridgette, at that time, her survivorship had been around 5 or 6 years, and her name was Sherry. And Sherry called me. Really good lady. And we had a conversation, and it really, really was helpful. And she said, if you need me, you call me. But she said, I got through this. You're going to be fine. And so I said, whoa. So now I've gotten to trade spaces with her in my world to do that for other people. So just having a phone conversation, saying, hey, don't give up. You may want to go ahead and cut your hair. Don't add those braids to your hair because you taking your first chemo in 2 weeks. That drug, your hair is going to come out. So just having the wherewithal to be able to do that is coming through that. Is it something you wanted to go through? Nah, but you better use it for good. So it's
Right.
been beneficial.
Yeah, and how about just those insider tips? Things like you might want to think about that hairstyle,
Yeah.
right?
Might want to take them braids out.
Yeah, you might want to take them braids out.
Yeah.
Not a good idea, right?
Yeah.
So that's incredible. Let's shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk a little bit about high school.
Yes, yes. That was our hour.
That was our hour. Yes. What do you remember about Richland Northeast High School that is kind of like a defining moment, for you?
And I think I would have to go back to having some dynamic teachers, like dynamic, that cared about us. And with the population at our high school being so diverse, right?
Yes, that I was actually thinking about that recently, that our
Yes,
high school had a little bit of everybody. We had
everybody.
Black folks, we had white folks, we had Hispanic, we had Asians, we had Native
Yes.
Americans, we had a little bit of everybody.
We had
Yeah,
a big melting pot of people. So, and really, it was really interesting now. The dynamics have changed so much. So somebody was speaking to me and they're like, oh, yeah, no, your school was never diverse because it's this population. And
yeah, I
I'm
think
like,
so.
no,
Yeah.
our class was, our high school was very diverse. So having these people that cared about us and then people don't believe me, Monique, that I was very shy.
They don't
Like,
believe that, I
they don't
know.
believe that. I was
You
super
were pretty
shy.
shy.
And so having these people that I could meet, and it was a different world going to ninth grade. So you were coming from a different school, coming to the ninth grade. Those were two big things. And then meeting these cool folk like you and Tamia and Rickies, Ricky Carter and Ricky Robinson and Erica Luca, like meeting all of these people, Joanna Pineda, all of these people that we got to be friends with, but being supported by these good teachers, being a above average student, and so having the opportunity to be in some, not the level of classes you were in. I think we both did not nowhere near that level,
Oh,
but
no.
like
Come on.
a little bit of
You were in some of those
accelerate.
advanced classes too. Don't even tell
Not
that lie.
not like your level, but I was like, a little above. So getting the experience of having not just a normal class, but getting to get a little bit more around your education. The first year that we could get two diplomas, so an academic diploma and a regular state diploma. So going on that track and just using all, like my girlfriend Jackie says, she said, Bridgette, one thing about you is you use every relationship and every experience to weave a fiber into your blanket of life. And I said, oh, that's a nice thing to
That's a
say.
great metaphor.
That's really,
Definitely.
so I think just that experience set me up relationally and from the care we have been given from those teachers to move on to the University of South Carolina and even begin to pray for the shyness to kind of dissipate and taking that and going on to another degree and building even different types of relationships. So Northeast was a very, very good experience. And our Spanish class,
Yes, our
our
Spanish
Spanish
class.
classes, yeah, we
Yeah,
were,
Spanish classes. I know we took Spanish all 4 years.
yeah. And then our last 2 years, we were honor students. So
Yes.
we were like, we got to get really close and being in that class together. And yeah, so that was very, very, very good experience for me at Northeast.
I had a good experience in high school, even though I was still kind of reeling from having transplanted from New York City and,
Yes.
moving to Columbia, South Carolina. And because, my parents split up when I was like 9, 10 years old, and my mom moved us south. And, I was still kind of dealing with a lot of that loss of, you know, being transplanted out of, big city, New York, and then, into South Carolina. Our high school experience was amazing because we all took advantage of the great support that we have from our teachers, the activities that we were all involved with. I mean, all of us, it seemed like everybody was always involved in something, right?
Doing
We didn't
something.
have very many loners. We had our cliques, of course, and we had, all of that stuff. But we seem to all kind of gravitate toward each other in a
Yes.
way that you don't really see a lot of these days. People talking about their school experience being that way. We all
Yes.
out for each other. And then
Yeah.
going to the first 10-year high school reunion.
And I missed
Lord.
it. I missed
Missed.
it. I
Let me
missed
tell
it.
you what. No, it was interesting because you'll recall when I was in high school, I was quite a bit overweight, and I had struggled with my weight the entire time. So when I went back for our 10-year, so you know how they give you these name badges that have your senior picture on them?
Yes.
Yeah. So I had my senior picture, and I'm about in that picture. I'm probably 220 pounds.
No,
Yeah.
you.
So I was quite a bit heavier then than what I am now. People were literally like walking by me because they didn't recognize me.
No
I was like,
way.
wait a second. And I would call out, someone's name, like, hey, hey, hey. And people were like, who are you? They're like, so then they
Wow.
look at my name badge, and then they looked at me and they're like, this can't be Monique Hayward. And I'm like, yes, it's me. I'm like, oh my God, like what? So, and then
Wow.
if that wasn't enough, basketball players, football players, soccer players, the ones who would never give me the time of day in high school.
Oh
Now
goodness.
all of a sudden at the reunion are all trying to roll up. And I'm like, missed your chance.
You're crazy. You are crazy. Look, I just want to say you had quite a few people that were very interested in you. So first of all, to the audience out there, don't believe that because she was quite attractive and people are like, yeah, they might have been a little intimidated because like she was probably smarter than most world leaders at the time. So I don't know if they thought they
Smarter
could
than
be.
most world leaders at
Yeah,
the
you were
time.
because I'm like you probably. I mean, and I'm talking about some amazing world leaders. So they're probably like, this girl's so smart and she's cute and she's got a personality. I don't know if I can handle. I don't know if I can get up in there. So
Yeah.
yeah. So that is so that. But for me, you always were this attractive, sweet, good-looking girl. So you just got a different hairdo to me and some cute-looking makeup. So to me, you always saw that. Always saw you couldn't walk in a room and me be like, is that Monique? No, I'm like, that's Monique, 100%. So
Well, you
yeah.
haven't changed a bit. You look exactly like how
Oh,
you did in
thank
high
you.
school. No, seriously. And we are now what? How many years removed from that experience? Oh,
We will
wow.
be what this year? We'll be
What?
double
It's,
fives this year.
I know we are double nickels.
Can you with the double Nick team? I can't
I,
believe it.
the double nick team. Here we
I
are.
can't believe it. Cause I mean I don't feel like 50 anything really.
I don't feel like 50 anything either,
Mm-mm.
but there are days. I was actually having this conversation with my friend Kevin Noble. He was actually
Yes.
yes, Kevin. He was the
Good
first
folk.
guest on my podcast, and we were talking afterwards about just a few things, just catching up on some other stuff, and I said, I know why. Every time I looked at my grandmother and watched her walk across the room, why it always looked like she was in pain. Because I
Oh
was
good.
like, why does grandmama walk like this? She always looks like she's in pain. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Because you
Something's
wake up
hurting.
in the morning and something's hurting.
So, and you like, what's in there? I know I was going up the stairs. I think I was about 35 at the time. And I was like, what in my hip could possibly be hurt? I mean, like, I didn't fall, I ain't hurt anything, but I'm just going up the stairs and there's some deep pain in this odd space. And I'm like, oh, I guess that's 35.
Right?
So
That's
20 years
35.
later, that's 35. Is that what
I
35 looks
know.
like?
Can you believe it? 35 was 20 years ago. Oh,
20,
wow.
20.
Yeah. So at 35, that was when I decided that I was going to give up playing basketball.
You were a good basketball player.
Yeah, I was halfway decent basketball player. So I decided to go because, well, I played in high school. I didn't
Yes.
play in college. And I did continue playing, though, in league. So, like, pick up and intramural, that kind of stuff. But then when I turned 35, I was running really hard. I was in a league in Portland. And I was running really hard one night in a game. And I didn't even know why. I was like, I'm
Got to
35 years
do it.
old. I have no hoop dreams about being in the WNBA. What am I doing?
Overachiever. You always been an
Overachieving.
overachiever.
Exactly. Overachieving. Out here, trying to get my hustle on the court. And I blew out my back.
What?
Something terrible. Oh yeah. So I had played in a game. I went home, went to bed, and I had to catch a flight to Dallas. I remember this specifically. I had
Oh,
to
you
flight
did.
to get a flight to Dallas because I was on a business trip the next day. And when
Oh,
I landed in Dallas, I could not get up out of the seat.
are you serious?
Yeah, no, because my back was absolutely seized up.
So
So I
what did
like,
you
so I
do?
just like, it was like this. I just try to like get myself up out of the seat and like gingerly trying to get my luggage out of the overhead. And I start going down the aisle and I'm like, oh dear, this is not going to be good. This is not going to be good. So I got to the closest drugstore that I could find. Like
Oh,
got as much
goodness.
ibuprofen as I could get.
Right on. Yes, you
And
got
just
to.
started popping pills. And it's like, oh, please, 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 I'm going to be in meetings all day tomorrow. I
With,
cannot
with a
have my
bad
back be
back.
jacked up. Oh, God, it was awful. So I made it through the meetings and I got back home. And then I went to the doctor and went through, the whole regimen of trying to figure out what was going on. And so, saw a doctor, saw a physiatrist, saw, a PT person. Finally, the PT person was the one who said, okay, we know what we need to do here. We need to strengthen your core and we need to
Yeah.
make sure that, you have good balance, you've got, good posture. And then, yeah, it's probably time to give up the hoops.
Dad, because I can see you still stopping and taking that shot, and you would do this one thing because you're lefty,
Because I'm
where
left-handed, yeah.
you would push off and just stand there with your yes, and just leave your hand there, and the balls would almost always go in. And so
I had a
that's
pretty good outside jump shot,
you were
definitely.
you were
I was a
good.
terrible ball handler though. Oh my gosh. Like because I favor my left side so much, my defenders always knew drive me right.
Yes, yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I could barely get the ball to cooperate with my right hand. Oh my gosh, it was terrible. What's ahead for you, Ms. Rumph? What are you thinking about in terms of like this is our 55th year, right? Like what
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
how are you going to celebrate?
Well, let me see. I've been really thinking a lot about how I want to celebrate that birthday. Because I'm one of these people on my birthday, if someone comes by and hangs out, I'm good. Or I can go do things by myself because I don't want to inconvenience people. I'm that person. And
Yeah.
then one year, the year my brother passed away, and my birthday fell on Easter that year. And I remember my group of friends that I made through Elevation, which are, like I said, very close friends. They all, and it was during when COVID was still pretty, there was no vaccination, there were no real protections except the mask. And I remember they knew because I have had cancer, I tend to have some compromised effects from that. So they knew I wasn't doing too much, not like being all out with no mask on, acting crazy.
Yeah, no. You did want to put yourself at risk. That's for sure.
Right, exact. So they all came over to my place on Easter and they set up so because our church it broadcasts from the main campus 90 over 90% of the time. So they set up everything for us to watch our church service. They brought breakfast over, they brought chairs, and they sat beyond my patio. So that year they were like, yeah, we can't believe you didn't fight us. I'm like, yeah, I just didn't. I mean, they said, usually you're like, no, I don't want to put y'all through any trouble. I said, nah. But that was a much needed good birthday. So I don't know. I would really like it would be ideal to go sit on a beach somewhere for a little while and go eat some good dinner and
Yeah.
bring those
That's
double nickels in good.
yeah, that sounds like a great plan. I
Yeah.
decided that I was going to make this my best year ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that
that's
I would
good,
do
Monique.
something interesting every month. of the year.
Ooh.
So not just because my birthday's in March, so definitely, got something planned for that. But I wanted to start the year with doing something every month that something I had never done before or something that was just interesting to me, something, kind of like what you just described, right? Like, hey, if I just want to go and hang out at a resort and on a beach and read a good book and then have a wonderful meal, that would be sick. That would be fantastic.
Oh, Monique, that's good. So do you already have all of your 12 activities for each month set, or are you doing them as you go along?
I'm doing it as I go.
That's
Yeah, I'm doing it
good.
as I go.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna try to keep on, like you said, want it to be a good year. It's a significant year, and I just want to continue to try to walk in spaces where you see the best in the day. You don't stress. You turn off what needs to be turned off and down, and turn up those things that will help elevate you in another space. But just kind of enjoy what's around you. Like you said, kind of venture out into some things that are exciting and that you have never done before. I think that's a great idea.
Yes. And
That's
on that
great.
note, what a fantastic conversation. It's
Yeah.
so good to catch up with you. So good to
Likewise.
reminisce about good old Richland Northeast High School. Like I said in the intro, go Cavaliers.
That's right. That's right. Go Cavs.
Yes, we raised thy name for all to hear. Remember that? You're like, yeah.
That's right. They don't know nothing about that.
They don't know nothing about that. Yeah, they don't know. They don't know.
They don't know. We're doing it
Well, my
big.
dear, yes. Well, like we said at the top, do not let 10 years pass.
Absolutely will not. This has
Yes.
been amazing.
Yes. Thank you so much for taking the time. Lovely to see you. I love you so much.
Oh, I love you too, and thank you very, very much, Monique.
Now it's the time for AMA, Ask Monique Anything. This is the part of the show where I answer your career, business, and life questions, so keep them coming. If you've got something on your mind, whether it's career moves, entrepreneurship, or navigating life, send it in and I'll tackle it in a future episode. Now let's get to today's question. It comes from Carrie in Beaverton, Oregon. You've had several entrepreneurial ventures during your career. What motivated you to become an entrepreneur and stick with it all these years? Oh, wow. That is such an amazing question. Thank you, Carrie, for sending it in. Entrepreneurship has always been a big part of my life. I believe that I've always had that spark in me, even before I even knew what to call it. I think my motivation really comes from two different things: independence and impact. I've always wanted the freedom to create and build and lead things on my own terms. And I love the challenge of taking an idea from concept to reality and then figuring out how to make things work, how to solve problems, and to create real value. And that has always been incredibly rewarding for me. The entrepreneurial inspiration came to me actually when I was a little kid. I grew up watching my grandma run her own beauty salon in New York while she was working as a nurse. And she showed me firsthand what it meant to be, bold and resilient and resourceful. And I just basically watched my grandma get her hustle on for years and years. And that, I think, really planted the seed in me to want to pursue entrepreneurship as well. So it hasn't been easy, that's for sure. I've had businesses that have succeeded. I've had some that didn't work out as planned. But I've learned from every experience, and I just see it as a way for me to continue to grow my skill set, to become a better business person, and continue to learn and grow along the way. So thanks again for the question. That's a wrap on this episode of Monique and Friends, Our Stories Unscripted. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Bridgette as much as I did. If you love what you heard, be sure to follow, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more people find the show and join in on the conversation. And don't forget, I want to hear from you. Got a career, business, or life question? Send it my way for the next AMA Ask Monique Anything segment. Just drop me a message on social media or go to my website and send me an email. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you next time with another incredible guest and more real unscripted conversations. Until then, keep getting your hustle on.